Hola, clase. Today, we're going to be learning how to use ER verbs in the present tense. Here's some ER verbs that might already be familiar to you. Comer, to eat. Correr, to run. Beber, to drink. Aprender, to learn. Barrer, to sweep. And vender, to sell. You'll notice that all of these verbs are considered ER verbs because they all end in the two letters ER. Another thing that's special about these ER verbs that you see is that they are all regular ER verbs. So that means that the rules I'm going to teach you today can be applied to all of these verbs. They all follow the same 3 steps. When we want to use an ER verb in a sentence, we have to conjugate it first. Conjugating a verb just means that we have to change the ending on the verb so that it matches the subject of our sentence. We do this all the time in English. For example, the verb sleep, when we want to change it to match different circumstances, we might say sleeps, he sleeps, or I sleep. Yesterday I slept. I am sleeping. Notice how we add the letter S onto the end. We change it SLEPT, or we add an ing onto the end. We do the same thing in Spanish, and we call it conjugating. So these are the 3 steps to conjugating regular ER verbs. So all the verbs that I just showed you, like comer, aprender, they follow these 3 steps. Step 1, remove the ending ER. Step 2, identify the subject of the sentence. Step 3, add the ending that matches the subject. So we're going to look at some examples of how to do this. Okay, let's take a look at the endings that you'll need to know in order to do these 3 steps. So when your subject is yo, which means I, you're going to put the ending o on the end. When your subject is tú, which is you, you're going to want to use the ending es, es. If your subject is él, ella, or usted, which is he, she, or you would put the ending a on the end, or e. If your subject is nosotros, which is we, you would use hemos. When your subjects are ellos, ellas, or ustedes, you would use the ending en. So let me read through those endings for you one more time. You have o, es, e, hemos, en. Here's what it looks like when we actually take one of our regular ER verbs, like comer, and we go through those 3 steps so that our verb will match our subject. We end up with yo como, tú comes, él, ella, usted come, nosotros comemos, ellos, ellas, ustedes comen. So we have como, comes, come, comemos, comen. And you'll notice that we got all of these conjugations of the verb comer by simply following the 3 steps. We took off the ending, er, we looked to see what our subject was, and then we added the ending that matches our subject. All right, so let's look at some examples. Here we have a sentence that we want to write, and we need to use the verb comer, which is to eat, in our sentence. So, yo blank el pollo en mi casa. So we're wanting to say, I eat the chicken in my house. And we need to conjugate the verb comer here to match our subject, which is yo. So we're going to want to take the ER off the end. That's our first step. So we're going to end up with just the stem of the verb com. And then we're going to look at our subject, and our subject is yo, which is I. And we're going to remember that whenever we have the subject yo, for all of our regular ER verbs, we're always going to add an O to the end. So we're going to go ahead and add the O, and now we're finished. We've done our 3 steps. Yo como el pollo en mi casa. I eat the chicken in my house. Okay, so here's another example. Tu blank al parque con tu amigo. And we want to use correr, which is to run, in our blank. So we're wanting to say, you run to the park with your friend. We're going to do the first step, which is take the ER off of our verb. We end up with just the stem, CORR. We're going to look at our subject, which is to, and we're going to remember that whenever our subject is to, we're always going to use the ending es. So we'll go ahead and put our ending on, and we're finished. Tu corres al parque con tu amigo. You run to the park with your friend. Okay, here we have mi madre blank español. And what we're wanting to say is my mother learns Spanish. So we're going to take our verb aprender and we're going to conjugate it to match our subject. We will do the first step, which is take the ER off the end. So we end up with this. And then we're going to look at our subject. And our subject is madre. So we do have to think about this just a little bit because it doesn't really stand out to us that it matches yo or tu or el or nosotros. But if we think about madre, we know that madre is saying like she. Mi madre, my mother. She learns. So since our subject is she, which is like ella, we know that our ending is going to be e. We can put that e on the end, and we're finished. Mi madre aprende español. My mother learns Spanish. I've got 2 more examples for you. So here's an example using nosotros in our sentence. So nosotros blank leche en la escuela. We want to say we drink milk in the school. So we're going to use the ER verb beber. We're going to take off the ER. We're going to look at our subject, nosotros, and we're going to remember that whenever nosotros is our subject, we always use the ending amos for our regular ER verbs. So we end up with nosotros bebemos leche en la escuela. We drink milk in the school. Okay, so here's our last example. Ellos blank la cocina. And we're going to use the verb barrer, which means to sweep. So they sweep the kitchen. If we take off our ending, we'll end up with this. We look at our subject, ellos, and we know that for ellos, ellas, ustedes, we're always going to use an end for the ending. So we go ahead and add that onto the end. Then we can read our sentence again. Ellos barren la cocina. They sweep the kitchen. And really the only way that you'll know these endings, whether you should put in o, es, a, amos, or in, is just by practicing them. So the more you practice them, the better you'll get used to using them in sentences or when you're talking. And then when you see a subject like ellos, you'll just know that you need to put an en on the end.